everyone. Welcome to the VarsityWA Midweek Podcast. I am Todd Milles, your host. We have some pretty cool guests this week as we look at WIAA quarterfinal football. We're going to have Chace Webster, the talented Olympic running back and the state's leading rusher, on with us to talk about his fantastic season. And then we'll have Eric Kurle, the championship coach, and as part of his Coach's Corner to break down a couple games, including the Graham Kapowsen at Gonzaga Prep showdown in Spokane on Saturday. And then Matt Evans will join us, the computer guru from the Tri-Cities. We will look at the most interesting games in each classification. Stick around for WIAA quarterfinal weekend. Our first segment of the VarsityWA Midweek Podcast. Really honored to be able to welcome in from Olympic High School, Chace Webster, the state's leading rusher in 2025, and now the West Sound's all-time leading rusher. I mean, Chace, let me. I know that you've seen these numbers, written these numbers down, put it on social media, but 237 carries. 2,436 rushing yards, 40 touchdowns. If you throw in your 260 receiving yards, that's almost 2,700 yards of offense and 43 touchdowns. When you think of what you accomplished, I mean, I would imagine it sort of brings a smile to your face, and then your body probably aches a little bit, huh?
Yeah.
I mean, just tell me what's it like having that record?
Well, it's truly a blessing. All the hard work I put in the last 4 years, like all the off-season work, and then all the pushing my coaches have done, like winning every rep, practicing hard, like it all paid off. And then also putting up a good stat line against the number one team definitely helped too, because I didn't think I was going to get it. With 40 seconds left in that game, I still needed 50 yards. And then I took an 80-yard touchdown down. So that helped.
Well, let's kind of go back before the season, because I know your coach changed the offense, more of a spread set. I know he had you in mind because of your ability to catch the football and what you can do in open space. But tell us a little bit about your summer and your off season and how you kind of prepared, knowing that you'd see an uptick in your workload. I don't know if you thought, almost 250 carries and, almost 300 touches. But how did you prepare for that in the offseason, Chace?
Well, when I heard we were changing the offense, because last year I split carries, so it was I didn't touch the ball as much. And knowing that I was going to, I trained a lot with I have a coach that I train with, and we building up my stamina and just getting my body prepared for the work that I was going to have to do. And it paid off pretty good. I didn't miss a game this year. That was really my goal, because last year I missed a few due to injury and a concussion. So getting bigger and stronger, I think helped with me taking a beating compared to last year.
When you had the run of 30 carry games, how was your body feeling afterward?
My body was I definitely was really sore after the game, but I'd take being sore over losing, because I really don't like to lose. So being able to my teammates depending on me and trusting me to do what I do, and carrying a load it's nice. Especially after the aftermath of winning, it feels good.
When did you start being put on notice for the West Sound record? I mean, Ryan Cole, he was a beast at South Kitsap. I don't know if you've heard from him or seen him or heard stories about him, but he was the only guy, I think, from the West Sound that was over 2,000 yards. But when did you start taking notice of that record?
I think it was right around game 5 when we played Bremerton. I think I posted 319 in that game. And then like the next few games, I was rushing for over 300 each game. So like at that point, I was like, maybe like I could hit 2000. I could get Larry's record. And then I think it was the our first playoff game to get in top 16. I was 140 away. And I was like, I really have a chance to do this.
Have you heard from Larry Dixon, you breaking the school record? Have you heard from Ryan Cole breaking the West
Uh,
Sound record? Have those guys reached out to you?
Yeah, Larry actually did text me. He reached out. He was like, "Congratulations. Like, it's cool to see all the work you've done paid off and to see someone break what my record." And he kind of just praised me and was congratulating me. It was pretty cool to hear from him because he came, I think, my freshman year to our school, and that was like the first time I seen him. But I haven't heard from Ryan Cole.
I'm sure you will. He's probably taking some time to digest what's going on. You talked about the Archbishop game and what you needed to set the record against a team that hadn't given up anything to anybody. It seems like you had a touchdown in the first quarter to give your team a lead, and then you had the late touchdown. But all the praise, it's odd. The irony is, in a loss, it seems like maybe you got the most praise and the most recognition because of what you did against the defense that nobody had done anything against all year. Did you notice that? And then how much of a relief was it when you had the second touchdown and you got the record against them?
Uh, it was like that was a very tough defense, and like to still be able to put up what I did, I was kind of shocked myself because nobody had us even scoring on their first offense, and for us to like score before they did, like I think we shocked a little people, like we shocked people what we could do, and then yeah, scoring that last touchdown, knowing that I got the record, uh, definitely emotions were flowing, and then also because we were losing by quite a lot. So,
As this recognition, has the 2,400 yards and change, has that opened any doors, any more doors on the recruiting front? Can you update us on that?
um, yeah, a few more coaches have contacted me. Nothing really too big yet. So I think in a little bit, like hopefully my name gets put out there more.
Yeah, I guess you probably had a senior season that you're not going to forget anytime soon.
Yeah.
Can you just describe what your senior year was like, both individually and what your team accomplished, being, the undisputed 2A Olympic League champions?
Yeah, definitely going into the season, people had like they doubted us, like they didn't think we are gonna be that good. And like to be able to accomplish what we did was really like relieving to make that comeback win to win league. Like we haven't won a solo league champ since like 2015. So that was like a huge like accomplishment. And then also capping off my senior year, like us winning league was nice. Getting all those records, like thanks to my O line, like they blocked all good for me all year. So I really praise them. Like, without them, I couldn't do it.
Big congratulations to Chace Webster, the state's leading rusher in 2025, the West Sound's all-time leading rusher for a single season. Chace, thanks a lot for joining the
Thank you.
podcast. Best of luck as you move forward, and hopefully the recruiting heats up and we see on television here pretty soon. I think we
Yep.
appreciate you joining the podcast.
Yep. Thank you.
Welcome back to the VarsityWA Midweek Podcast, second round of the WIAA playoffs, and happy to be joined by the championship coach Eric Kurle for his X's and O's breakdown, the coach's corner. He's going to look at a couple games in the quarterfinal bracket. Let's start in the 4A bracket. I know it's your old school going to Spokane. It's a game that sounds like you're going to be at, but it's a really intriguing matchup, maybe the most intriguing matchup of the large classification brackets. Graham Kapowsen going to Gonzaga Prep, and you've had a chance to kind of study both teams on tape. What intrigues you about this game, Eric?
You know, The funny thing is I played them a couple times when we were there, and the headache you have on defense, thinking about stopping that wishbone. The one thing that Gonzaga Prep does really well this year that they haven't been able to do as well in the past is they can throw the ball. They run in different things out of the wishbone. I mean, they get out of it. They got some spread concepts in it. They got some RPOs concepts in it. They got big time receiver, a big time slot pitch guy in Keller. The Dawkins kid out a receiver. The quarterback is the one that's special, I think. I think he's very underrated. I think in any spread team, he'd be thrown for over 2,500 yards. He throws an accurate ball. He really a decent, strong arm. He runs it well and does a lot of things for that team. And people don't understand. And then the number 24, Granger, I think it is, their running back, their pounder, the guy that just, gets their dive, gets everything set up for those going outside and making the big plays that they're trying to do. What GK has to do to try to stop that is, they got to try to slow them down. But the biggest thing, they can't give up the big play. They really want to pound you inside and then play action RPO or get you to isolate you up. You got to change your front as a GK defense. They got to change on who has responsibility your dive, who has the pitch, who has the quarterback. They got to have a couple thoughts in there coming into the game because a good wishbone team like Prep, Coach Graham's been there with Coach McKenna before, and they know how they're going to figure out what you're doing, and then they're going to adjust, and you're going to have to adjust. It's going to be a chess match there. And Coach Foreman and those guys know that. I mean, they've done it in the past, and hopefully they can do it this week. But it's a different animal because now they can throw the ball. But GK does on offense. GK is more of a spread team, whatever, multiple formation, pro style team. They have to run the ball. They got to slow it down because with Gonzaga, they play most of their guys just one way. GK's got some guys going both ways. They're going to get tired a little bit. They got to slow the pace of the game and be willing to just run the ball inside and do that. And they're doing it better now. They're doing it better right now. Jeff's a little bit, Jeff's one of the best play callers I know and that, but he likes to throw the ball. He likes to get it down the field and do different things. Me, old school, I want to run it, and then take the shot. He sets up the different way. He runs some run screens. He does a lot of things like that. They got to beat them at their safeties is where I think they have a great corner, probably one of the best corners I've seen on film. And number one, Clinton, he's special. The other kid's a tall 10 corner, number 10. He's lanky. He can run with you. But they're going to sit up in four, roll down in one. You got to, that they're going to do that to take away GK's quick stuff. So they're going to keep doing what they're doing because they're confident in their athletes. So they're going to keep rolling guys down to try to stop GK from running their little quick screens to Betts and Halsey. So they're going to keep doing that, and GK's got to be able to get over the top and beat them because I think their inside slot receivers, if they can get Chace or Betts inside against a couple of their safeties, they can run double moves and get over top of them. I saw it a little bit in Meade, but they didn't get the ball to the guy, but they had guys open. They just didn't get it to him. So I feel like it's going to be a chess match, and you got to look at what Gonzaga Prep has. They're a bunch of guys that are 5'10" to 220 on their front seven that can move and be athletic. That's why I believe GK's got to run at them a little bit, take their shots when they can, because they're a little bit more athletic on their front seven than GK is on their O line. So if we sit there and throw and just let them bring in gaps and come, GK is going to be throwing off their back foot a lot, and they got to be able to hit. I'm pretty sure Prep's going to try to take away their short game first, and then they're going to adjust and think they can man up, and we'll see who's got better athletes there when they go for it.
Eric, GK has played a couple pretty significant run-based offenses. Monty's veer offense at O'Day. Last week, they got a heavy dosage of the wing T at Kennedy Catholic. How beneficial do you think that can be this week?
I think it's great. I mean, I think it was super last week because wing T's kind of got some concept of the same that you got to be disciplined. You got to be disciplined. An I team more, you got to be physical against the finish. So they've seen both of those. But now you're looking at a different animal when you go to Wishbone because your kids, they're going to block up who you have responsibilities to, and you got to adjust as a defense and change what your fronts are. So I feel good about it. I feel great about it because I mean I know those coaches over at GK, but I also know Gonzaga Prep, their guys are trained in this offense and they're going to be really good at what they do. So hopefully they can change it up and be some good things going on.
At the end of this one, Eric Kurle, what will the scoreboard say?
I'm going to go with GK. And so, the thing, I think it could go both way, either way. It's tough go over there and win, but Prep or Pete did it last week going east of the mountains. I think if GK cannot fall behind early and let them milk the thing and they can stay in it and control the tempo of the game, I really think it's weird to tell GK is a spread team, a throw team that you want to keep the tempo. But you got to think that Wishbone is a spread team because of what all the things they do with option and quarterback stuff and hit the shot. So I think if they can keep it close early, then and take some shots and make some big plays and not allow Prep to make those big plays by making a mistake on defense and blowing an assignment. I think GK will going to win it in a close one. I think it's going to be high scoring though. I believe it's going to be a 28-35 type of game or 28-30 or something in that range.
Graham Kapowski 2-0 against Gonzaga Prep in the WIAA playoffs, both of them at Art Crate Field. I think Graham Kapowski's playing really well. Their most complete game last week against Kennedy Catholic, but they're going to Spokane. I think these two teams are very evenly matched. The difference is Gonzaga Prep gets to sleep in its own beds, gets to play in front of their home fans. The styles, I think it's interesting because I think GK's defense has held up really well against run-based offenses this season. But I also think that Gonzaga Prep secondary has held up against the few times that they've faced some passing offenses or offenses that are willing to pass. They don't see a lot of them in the GSL. But I am going to go with the home team, Gonzaga Prep. I agree. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I think I had 31-29, but a close, exciting game, the best game in 4A for the weekend by far.
Totally agree. I think the other games are, pretty much the favorites are, 80% gonna win. It's gonna be a big upset if anything else happened. This one's, probably Gonzaga Prep's probably got a lot of more people maybe voting on being the win, but it's real close to 50-50, 60-40 type thing.
And now we'll look at the 2A bracket. A couple of run-based teams, a game that could be over in 90 minutes. The Power T offense and Franklin Pierce traveling to the Wing T of Tumwater. Both teams rolling last week. You look at Franklin Pierce, you got Bryson Allen, who's been a workhorse, one of the state's leading rushers. But it's not just Bryson Allen. You got Jameer Ford, Anthony Lamega, and that wing back has had some moments with some big plays. But then you look at Tumwater; they'll roll out 6-7 guys handling the ball up. Peyton Davis is kind of their workhorse. Tyler Briscoe, sort of a big play fullback. Grady Wall, Jaden Hinchcliffe, on and on. The quarterback Jackson Budd will run it out on occasion. When you look at both of these teams and the way they match up, Eric, what do you think intrigues you the most about this?
Well, a little background on both of them. I mean, you got Tumwater, just tradition and Wing T, and those kids grown up running, and coach after coach and Coach Guerrero is doing just an incredible job keeping that rolling. And then you got Franklin Pierce. Trevor's, I actually played for me at Bethel back in the day. He is just kept those kids there. He's in a corridor where kids could transfer a lot of places, and he's been able to keep some great athletes, and that's because he's a great person and being able to get those guys going. So first thing, looking at Franklin Pierce, it's a Power T is kind of a different thing. It was nice to kind of look at it and really dissect it a little bit. It's basically a wing T, but it's in a different concept. They're in the same formation, all the time. They're sitting there, they're running trap, they're running some blasts, they're doing things. Basically, what they try to do is a little different than the wing T. They condense the field into a small little area, that foot-to-foot steps, splits. They're condensed. Their quarterbacks is carrying out his fakes really well, trying to get eyes on him back there and finish it. They're going to condense the field, and then they're going to pop outside with the quarterback keeping, and that kid runs well too, the quarterback. The Allen kid's special kid, and the Ford kid are good too, but that Allen kid's special. The linemen just, are good enough. They block up, they get things, they do a quick trap and a tight little deal, but they're special on that, and they adjust very well. Tumwater, they're a lot like Bellevue, and when we talked about them earlier, they're going to flip linemen. They're going to hustle the line. They're trying to get a bubble to attack a bubble, the typical wing T. They're going to find that bubble and they're going to attack it. They're going to get up the line. You're figuring out are they in unbalance? Are they on over? What are they at? And then you're adjusting late and they catch you and they pop it. And they have it. What's the running back, Allen, whatever, or their big running.
Davis.
Yeah. Yeah, he's fast and get after it. But basically what they're going to do is get up there. So what Franklin Pierce has got to do, they got to establish, I don't think they can shift their line. I don't think they can do a lot of things because Tumwater did a great job of getting up there quick on their huddle and making a quick snap. So they got to adjust their 3 front up to a 5 front. And then they just when they bring that extra guy, the recognition that inside linebacker on that side has got to come up and be another lineman, and they got to sink a safety down in that spot. And they just got to slide linebacker. They try to shift. Linemen can't see that. It's so long when the linebackers try to get them to move on the unbalance. They need to adjust with the back end a little bit on their unbalance, and then maybe slant some into that. What Tumwater needs to do, the same type of concept. I think they're a 4 front. They're going to end up probably coming up in a 62 type of front. You're going to see zero coverage on both of these. Both these guys do other things, but they're going to be in zero coverage. I mean, these teams are going to be there. Their eyes. Hopefully they can follow the guards and do some things, but really they got to just take gaps. I think they're going to pinch in that 60 front. They're going to pinch inside. They're going to keep leverage guys outside for when they pull. They're going to change up and maybe slant some stuff, maybe towards, the big running back, the talented kid that's fast. But it's a system that both these teams have to be disciplined. They got to stay home and they got to stay true to what they want to do.
At the end of this one, Eric Kurle, what will the scoreboard say?
I'm going to go Tumwater. I just think they've proven they've been in longer. There is a system that is really well ran, and they're good on defense too, and they're sound on defense. And I think they're a little bit better on defense than what Franklin Pierce is on defense, and that's kind of where I think they get the upper hand.
I agree. And for the same reason you just said, Coach, I think Tumwater's defense is a little more consistent. I know Franklin Pierce does come to the Tumwater summer camp, and they've scrimmaged before. Franklin Pierce has played Tumwater before. I do like Bryson Allen. I think he's the biggest running threat on the field, but I do like the depth and the balance of Tumwater's defense. Like you said, they've been running that system a lot longer than FP. I think it'll be a good game. I think we're going 32-20 Tumwater. They get to the semifinals again. Well, that'll do it for Eric Kurle, the championship coach, in his Coach's Corner, breaking down the X's and O's of the Graham-Camphausen at Gonzaga Prep 4A quarterfinal and the Franklin Pierce at Tumwater 2A quarterfinal. We'll have the coach on Saturday night to hear some of his thoughts about what happened in the round of 8. Coach, we'll see you then.
Thank you.
Welcome back to the final segment of the VarsityWA Midweek Podcast, joined by my regular guest from the Tri-Cities, Matt Evans. He's already doing computer basketball preseason rankings and who's going to be good and who to watch out for. He's always on top of his game, but I also know that he's still in tune to what's going on around the state. We're in the round of 8, and what I'll do is we'll go through each schedule, Matt, and you can tell me what game interests you the most. So let's go right to 4A. All the games are Saturday, GK at Gonzaga Prep, 1 p.m. Saturday in Spokane. Moses Lake at Lake Stevens, 4 p.m. Saturday at Lake Stevens. Glacier Peak at Sumner, 2 p.m. Saturday at Sunset Chev Stadium. And Skyline at Puyallup, the late one, 7:30 p.m. at Spark Stadium in Puyallup. Matt, what game interests you the most in this 4A bracket?
The I could make a case for all these games, but I think that the one that I'm really looking forward to is Graham Kapowsin at Gonzaga Prep. I think that Graham Kapowsin has played just they're battle tested. They're ready to go on the road. They're ready to make this long trip and play GK football. For Gonzaga Prep, I feel like this really is their first big test. I thought that maybe Curtis would be somebody who could be that first big test for him, but G Prep just kind of rolled over him. I think that this is a type of physical that G Prep doesn't see in Spokane, and it's if GK comes out and punches them in the mouth early, how is G Prep going to respond, and will they respond soon enough?
Yeah, I agree. I think the GK Gonzaga Prep's the most will probably be the closest game of the four. The one I'm intrigued by is our Cinderella team, Glacier Peak at Sumner. Glacier Peak plays a lot like Sumner. They're physical, they're big up front, they've got two good running backs, and they play good defense. I'm not saying that Glacier Peak's going to go to Sumner and win, but it's been a while since Sumner's been, kind of hit in the mouth. And I think this weekend, Glacier Peak in the quarterfinals is going to do that. They have one loss. It's the Lake Stevens, and it's a game that I think the score really didn't indicate some of the action. Glacier Peak had a couple long drives that stalled early in that game. They just didn't do very well at defending Lake Stevens when the Vikes were on offense. But I'm interested to see how Sumner reacts to a very physical Glacier Peak team this weekend. In the 3A bracket, the four games this weekend, three of them on Saturday, but the one that's on Friday night is Bellevue, Lakes at Bellevue. That'll be 7 p.m. at Bellevue Memorial Stadium. And then the Saturday games, Kennewick at Eastside Catholic, 3 o'clock in Sammamish. Cedro Woolley at O'Dea, 1 p.m. at Renton Memorial Stadium. And then the all-Tacoma showdown, Lincoln at Mount Tahoma, 7:30 Saturday at Mount Tahoma Stadium. Matt Evans, which game interests you the most in the 3A bracket this weekend?
I think that the one I'm really intrigued by is Lakes and Bellevue. Lakes they survived a scare last week, and they are a young team. They're going to return a lot next year, and Bellevue's Bellevue. I think that this could be a statement game for Lakes if they can come out, and even if they don't win the game, but if they can keep this game close into the third and fourth quarter, I think this could be a big momentum boost for them going into 2026.
Yeah, like you said, they're a really young team. I know that they've had some injuries, especially up front. But this is a Bellevue team that's kind of in a little bit in transition with a very talented sophomore class, very skilled on the outside. So this is not, I don't think, the Bellevue team of last year that made the state championship game. Should be a fun game on Friday night. The one that I live in Tacoma, so I'm gonna buy into the buzz of Lincoln Mount Tahoma round 2 this year, and it's interesting because Lauren and I were at the Saturday game when Mount Tahoma really kind of dismantled Lincoln. And it's interesting how the Abes have sort of morphed to a style that's closer to what you'd see Mount Tahoma run. They're a little more run-based with Jadion Scranton. They're letting their defense play a little more physical. And they're protecting Sione Cajo a little more, where he's making some plays off the play action. Two teams that are kind of similar in what they're doing offensively right now, and both teams playing exceptional defense. I think Mount Tahoma wins. I think Lincoln puts a scare in them, and I think all of Tacoma celebrates. Well, let's look at the 2A bracket, the four games that are going on. All of them are on Saturday. Number 6 Linden at East Valley of Yakima, 3 p.m. Saturday at West Valley. Franklin Pierce at Tumwater, 2 p.m. Saturday at Sid Otten Field in Tumwater. Anacortes, the two-time defending champs, at Ording, 1 p.m. Saturday at Franklin Pierce Stadium. And Seaholm at Archbishop Murphy, the nightcap, 7 p.m. Saturday at Goddard Stadium in Mill Creek. Which game here interests you the most in the 2A bracket, Matt Evans?
Tough one to decide. I mean, it's not hyperbole to say I could make a case for every game, but I think I'm going to go with Linden and East Valley of Yakima. because, East Valley of Yakima has been building up to this year with all of their senior leadership and their playmakers. And Linden is Linden, and they know how to travel. They play excellent road football, especially in Eastern Washington. I can remember numerous times back when I was in high school, Linden coming over and playing Kamayakin at Lamson, and playing Rosser, and just all these, like coming over and having huge games on the east side. They know how to travel. They know what to do. And I mean, I don't necessarily. I don't want to pick an upset. I'm not sure. I don't know. I think it's going to be close. I think it's going to be just thrilling football. And yeah, that's the one I'm really intrigued by.
Well, I'm looking at a lower seed that I think most people would consider the favorite this weekend in any of the classifications. That's a two-time defending champs from Anacortes playing at Ording, that high-powered pass game with Ryan Harrington. But don't underestimate Ording. They're not a bunch of wrestlers that are just moving around and moving people out of the way. They've got a lot more athleticism and wiggle on the perimeter than I think people realize. I think this could be a pretty fun, higher-scoring game. But I do like the Seahawks to move on. I know they want another shot at Archbishop Murphy in the semifinals, and certainly a chance for a three-peat in Husky Stadium in December. All right, let's go to the 1A bracket, the 4 games this week, all on Saturday. OMAC at Mount Baker, noon at Blaine High School. Life Christian at Kashmir, 2 p.m. in the Apple Bowl in Wenatchee. Montesano at Linden Christian, part of a Blaine High School doubleheader. They will be the nightcap at 4 p.m. And then Seton Catholic goes to Royal, round 3. These teams have played now a third consecutive year in the playoffs, 1 p.m. Saturday in Royal City. Matt Evans, which game interests you the most this weekend in the 1A bracket?
Well, for everybody who listened to our Saturday night show, it's probably screaming at the screen right now going, Life Christian and Kashmir. But no, not so fast, my friends. I'm looking at Montesano Linden Christian. That game is going to be so much fun. Linden Christian, controversial loss this year. They could be a 2. They really could be a 2. Montesano played really well in their game against Nooksack when they traveled up there. They're not afraid to hop on the bus and go long distances. I think that the biggest key for this one for Montesano is they have to get the lead early, and they have to put the pressure on Linden Christian. That's really it right there. If Linden Christian comes out early and scores, I think that puts the pressure on Montesano. I think that Linden Christian could run away with this one.
Yeah, the game that I'm going to pick is one that I don't think is going to be competitive, but we all like rivalries, especially when the rivalries span across the mountains. Mm-hmm. And there's some tension between these two programs. Seton Catholic going to Royal 2 years ago when these seniors were sophomores, made that great run and went to Royal in the semifinals, got beat. But everybody kind of knew that Seton Catholic's time was coming, and lo and behold, last year they played Royal in the state championship game, played them even for a half, and then the Knights got warmed up and run away with a victory to win their 5th consecutive WIA championship. Now it's interesting; it's almost like a full circle moment. Going back to Royal, the sophomores being seniors, led by Colton Gesser. I think they're a little better defensively than maybe they've been, but not the upside offensively that they've had the last couple years. Both teams, I think, should be commended by what they've done and what they've accomplished. It's unfortunate that Seton Catholic has had to run into one of the all-time great programs in Washington history in search of their first state championship, but that's how it goes. And I think the Knights win their first WI playoff game of this tournament and move on to the state semifinals. Well, let's now go to the 2B bracket. Games that are all 3 of them are on Saturday, but there is one on Friday. Okanagan going to Freeman. It's playing at 6 p.m. Friday at Freeman High School in Rockford. And then the 3 Saturday games, the Cinderella Liberty Bell going to Tri-City Prep. 1 p.m. Saturday, Edgar Brown Stadium, right down the street from you. Adna at Newport, also at 1 p.m. Saturday at Newport High School. And then the late game Saturday, an all District 4 matchup, number 8 Napavine at number 1 Toledo, 5 p.m. at Kelso High School. You look at the 2B bracket, what game interests you the most there, Matt Evans?
The game that jumps out to me, actually, I have a venue update for you. According to the WIA website, Adna Newport is at Roos Field in Cheney.
Okay, thank you.
So that I just saw that as I clicked on that. So because I saw it at Newport as well.
Okay.
So that's
they're going
an
from
update.
green to red. They're going from
Exactly.
green to red. So
Green to red, and that's actually the game that I'm looking at here. I'm looking at Adna going to Newport now, especially that they don't have to go that extra, 1,000 miles from Cheney up to Newport. I really like Adna. I know that Adna has, look at their schedule and they have a loss to Tenino, and everyone's kind of like, what's up with that? But this team played Toledo tough week 1. They're very young, they're very gritty, they're very strong, and I think that in the right circumstances, especially now playing on turf and not having to deal with, a wet field up at Newport, I think that could be a huge benefit to Adna going on the road here. That's the game I'm looking at. I wouldn't be surprised if Adna came out as the victors.
Well, I'm going to stick with the Friday game. The teams that rematched from last year's semifinals. Freeman played Okanagan probably better than anybody last year in the middle of their run to a second consecutive state championship. And now Okanagan has to go to Freeman, and then there's another Kukenbook playing quarterback. It's Colson Kukenbook who came in relief against Linden Christian and has held the job ever since. This team still runs the football. They've had a lot of injuries. And have with the 2 losses to Linden Christian and OMAC, both 1A teams, and then Freeman with the loss at Newport. But I think you could probably poll people around the state, and there's still some people that think that Freeman's the best team in 2B despite the loss to Newport. I wouldn't disagree with that. But these 2 teams going at it feels like a heavy hitter type game. I do like Freeman to find a way to win, especially behind the quarterback, and a group that has been waiting for this rematch a whole year. I think Freeman finds a way and moves on. And finally, the 8-man teams. Some really fun matchups, all of them on Saturday this week. Pomeroy at Wahkiakum, 1 p.m. Saturday at Kelso High School. Darrington at Liberty Christian, noon Saturday at Franrich Stadium in Richland. Nassau at ACH, 1 p.m. Saturday at Lions Field in Moses Lake. And Nia Bay going to DeSales, 1 p.m. Saturday, Walla Walla. Another long trip to East, another 10-hour ride on the bus for the Red Devils. Matt Evans, what game interests you the most in the 1B bracket this weekend?
Well, the game that interests me is the one that I'll be attending, Franrich Stadium, Darrington and Liberty Christian. I've watched a lot of Darrington football in the last 2 days. I did watch their entire game with Wilbercrest and Keller this last week because I thought that was a really interesting game as well. And I'll tell you, I've been really impressed with their quarterback, Hunter Anderson. He has a very unconventional throwing style, but man, he gets the ball where it needs to go. And on top of that, not only is he an excellent passer of the ball, he is fast. You get him into space, and I mean, he just runs by you. He really reminds me a lot of Charlie Branding last year from Liberty Christian. They're running back differently, but as soon as it just seems like he gets to the second level, and then he just gets into like 6th gear, and he's gone. So I'm really excited to see him play. On the Liberty Christian side, Trenton Ralston has been waiting 3 years to get his opportunity. He used to get lots of opportunities on 2-point conversions the last few years, but now he's running the show and he's having a really good season. And I'm really excited to get out and see the boys play. It should be a really good game, lots of points. I think that Liberty Christian probably has the advantage, but I'm really excited to see what Darrington can throw at him.
Guess who had 31 tackles in a game last weekend, Matt Evans?
Who's that?
Tyler Swan from Nia Bay, the really good all-state running back, linebacker. He's an all-state basketball player, 31 times, and I think the majority of them came against the Garpal quarterback. But it's interesting because the game within the game, or the trip within the game, intrigues me. With Nia Bay having to, you know, basically in Canada, they're located in Canada, and then they're going to Oregon. They're going to the Oregon border this weekend, and that's a week after going basically to the Idaho border. So they have to leave Friday. They're going to spend 2 nights on the road, both Friday and Saturday night. They won't get home till Sunday afternoon. But I think this is a rallying point for this team that has found a little juice in their offensive backfield, a little more stability at the quarterback position. And Nia Bay's been there. We know what Nia Bay is, and DeSales hasn't. They haven't been a number 1 seed before in the 1B playoffs, but courtesy of their upset win against Liberty Christian, and deserving, is the number 1 seed. But how do they handle that, in their quarterfinal game at Walla Walla High School? Yeah, I think this is an interesting game, more interesting than a 9-1 in the usual 1B quarterfinals. I think Nia Bay, it's a little bit of a team on a mission, and a mission that involves a couple 10-hour bus rides one way. So we'll see how that goes. Thanks for tuning in to the VarsityWA Midweek Podcast. I'm your host, Todd Milles. Thanks to Matt Evans from Evans Rankings, breaking down some of the interesting games of the classification. And then the championship coach, Eric Kurle, looking at a couple games thoroughly in the X's and O's. And then how about Chace Webster in his season at Olympic, the state's leading rusher? Appreciate him joining us. We will be back Saturday night for our Midnight Reactions podcast for our quarterfinal weekend of WIAA football. We will see you then. This podcast is brought to you by Varsity Washington, your source for high school sports news, rankings, and more around the state of Washington. You can listen to new episodes of the VarsityWA Podcast weekly on YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts. And for more from VarsityWA, visit us at varsitywanews.com and subscribe for daily posts covering the high school sports landscape around the state. A special thank you to our guests on this episode, and to Carl Johnson and Matt Bueller of the Portland-based band Edith and Axon for providing the music you hear at the beginning and end of this podcast each week. You can find the band on Instagram at Edith Axon Official. Thank you to our listeners for tuning in to the VarsityWA Podcast. For producer Lauren Smith, I'm your host, Todd Milles. We will be back next week.